saying? Big event. Empire State Building shootout. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. We're gonna get into that. Definitely, we're gonna chop that up because that happened right here underneath our nose. You know, big time shooting I go on in front of the Empire State Building. You know that brought attention to a lot of things that's been going on. You know, the rise in gun violence and gun control. People talking, politicians, all this thing is going crazy. This guy Jeffrey Johnson goes down to Manhattan.
Kills his boss.
Killed. Not. It wasn't his boss. He killed his co-worker. You understand? And then ended up getting bodied by New York City's police department, who decides, in the process of bodying him, decides they need to shoot 9 other people, 9 innocent people walking on the street. What the hell is wrong with New York City police officers? Don't they know how to shoot underneath the rest?
No, the
A
thing
stressful
is,
situation. I'm not putting it all on them.
They listen. The thing is this: they need to learn how to. They need to go back to the tactics to shoot to take down and not shoot to kill. If they just holding the trigger on their gun, that's not professional. They just killing and injuring other people in the process. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's their job, is to kill. That's what it looks like nowadays.
But you know what? It bring to light how Sean Bell and all these other people were mowed down, cut down in multiple gunshots by these cops. Not, and they didn't even check to see if the brother was still moving and flinching when they threw shots at him and Amadou. They claim Amadou had a pistol, but they never saw a pistol. They just claim he had a pistol, but it was the man's wallet. The man went to get his wallet to show his ID. And what the hell make these people so paranoid that they want to shoot somebody without even seeing a weapon, or just they thought they saw a weapon? So immediately you falling and tripping over each other, and your gun going off, and you shooting somebody 41 times. That right there was a red flag to say, you know what? Let's bring these people to the shooting range and let's teach them more tactical training as far as shooting underneath in fight or flight situation. Spoke to somebody from the Army that served in Iraq that said, you know what? At the end of the day, it's fight or flight. That's what it boils down to. Fight or flight. You know what I mean? You never know how somebody's going to react when gunshots start going off. You know what I mean? You have to be in the situation to know. You know, and a lot of people think they would react in a calm manner and in a controlled manner, but war itself is madness. There is no controlledness. The situation itself, the entire situation is a sick madness. War is madness. War is craziness. You know. So once those shots start going off, guess what? The guy didn't even get to squeeze off the last 3 he had in his pistol, but Bloomberg was the first to say he traded shots with his officers, with their officers. Kelly then later on recanted those statements. So first thing I was doing was watching for the propaganda machine to take over, the cover-up machine. We know how New York flex already. The first thing they do is try to throw the victim or somebody underneath the bus to shield against their cops.
Right, to make their cops look better.
Come out on top.
So, just to kind of reiterate this whole situation, because I thought it was his boss that he shot in the head. I know it was some designer. You know what I'm saying? Supposed to be some famous designer, not one of the famous designers that.
He just worked for a design company.
No. But the lady is a famous designer. She may not be famous because she not Timberland or Polo or somebody like that we know as famous, but she definitely was a famous designer amongst the designing people. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't a slouch. Definitely had a good career going on for herself. He was fired, and then I thought they saying that he was fired this week. I heard that he was fired a month ago. Yeah, because I didn't really dig too much.
Yeah. Before we go too far with that, the guy was fired over a year ago. A year ago.
A lot of people thought it was this week.
Him and this particular coworker had issues while he was working there. He very much said or claimed that this coworker is the one that got him relieved of his position. The guy was on the verge of being evicted from his apartment. The guy is 52 years old. When you're 52 years old, you're not looking for career change. You're in your career. You get relieved of that position in a malicious manner. Guess what? Nobody wants to hire you. And another thing they do, too, is make sure that you don't get unemployment. Man, you think about what this guy is going through. White or black or pink or purple, I don't give a damn. You know, this guy was he was at his tipping point. This is what you call a tipping point right here, that the next person shoved me, I'm going over the edge. You know,
Right.
he came downtown dressed in a business suit to confront these people. Saw the coworker coming from across the street, ran up, gave him 5. Finish him off, heading down the block, a construction worker, so-called, follow him down the block, alerted the cops and say, hey, that's the guy that did the shooting down there in front of the Trade Center. In front of the Empire. Cops confront.
Rated T for teen.
Go down there and take another person's life because you lost a job now. You know, you got to find something else to do with yourself. You know, can't condone that.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Um,
So that's
so-
what really went down.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, you know, like it's like, for me, when something like this affects the city right here, you know what I'm saying? And we always gotta kind of look at the situation like, you know, now we on the radar, now we in the hot seat because, you know, people are being fired every day, by the way. You know what I'm saying? What are some of the dangers, you know what I'm saying? What are some of the dangers you got to be precautious about when something like this happens in the city? You know, we can't put cops on every job that somebody was fired off of.
Yeah.
This guy, you saying this guy was fired for over a year.
Over a year, he sat there and built on it because remember, it was coming time. He was about to get evicted from his apartment. He already
So he ain't been paying his rent in the whole year, probably. He
you
been
could,
he
could
probably been
basically
struggling.
probably going through the whole scenario of being evicted and going back and forth with the whole business with the landlord and all these things. You know, it take damn near a good 6 months to get somebody out of a place and all these things like that. You know, they're probably living off of his last. You never know. A guy could have been living on his last and came down to the last check on all
Ready.
these things.